is included in the digital space. Everybody is included in the network, and nobody is left out. So we have dimensions of the digital divide. We have three dimensions. As I talked earlier about the economic exclusion. As you can see, the economic exclusion is the gap between those who can afford internet access, own digital devices, and access essential digital skills, and those who cannot. This includes the costs of devices, data, electricity, and ongoing maintenance. So, for this, the economy space, the economic exclusion, I think I've used several scenarios to explain most of these dimension, the economic dimension. As you can see right now, everything is online. Shopping is online, right? Maybe streaming. Right now, you don't go to buy a CD to watch a movie. You Netflix. You can do. There are many sites. You pay and watch. Right? You don't need to go to the cyber and download a CD, burn a CD, or use a USB. Everything is on the phone. But internet access, still, as you can, maybe Migori County is it's strategically placed in such a way that lacking internet is not something that majority can complain about. Right? There are some areas maybe the network will be somehow weak, but you will find internet access. You can say around 80% in Migori County. Using your phone, uh, you can find internet by buying data, maybe using the Starlinks and whatnot. But you find that in our country, Kenya, there's some places you go, maybe in the northern side, internet is an issue. Internet is an issue. How do we make sure that these people are digitally included? They don't have internet, so what will they do with their smartphones? So what will we do as organizations, as ADIA, to make sure that the government is doing its best so that those areas are involved? That's why we do advocacies. Advocacy, we advocate on cheaper internet costs, we advocate on internet connectivity, we advocate on the such that we advocate on the digital skills, government offering the skills, and us also offering the digital skills. In ADIA, we have several programs. In these programs, we have different chambers that offer different skills. Like right now, we are mainly in the chamber of skill and development. Skill and development. This is the chamber whereby we offer skills to the community. We teach people, the marginalized communities. Also, even you, I know some of you have phones, but there's some things you don't know that your phones can do. Some of you are using your phones to, in short, you use your phone to make someone rich instead of using your phone to make yourself rich. Yeah, it's a fact. That is actually a practical thing you guys do. When you stream TikTok, you're making somebody rich, but you yourself, you're there not rich. You use your money to make somebody else rich. Actually, you're making around three or more people rich when you stream. The first person you're making rich is the internet provider. The second person is the person who are building the video. The third person is the platform. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Yeah. You buy data, you're making the internet provider rich. Right? You use that data to stream. You're making the app owner, or I can maybe use TikTok because it's the famous one. You're making the app owner rich, and at the same time you're making the person who you're viewing and liking their videos rich. with that 20 of viewers, and you're there still at the same level. So it's about expanding your brains, getting to understand the action that I'm doing. What am I doing? Am I doing it so that I can gain, or am I doing it so that I can stay at the same level and make somebody else scale up? Because at that point, you are losing, at the same time somebody else is gaining, right? You're comfortable there. You do that every day. So it's a matter of getting to know and getting to know your skill and getting to understand what you're doing. Uh, Another dimension, we have the educational exclusion. We have the educational exclusion, the gap between those with access to relevant digital literacy. Excuse. Okay, yeah, sorry. So, digital exclusion, the gap between those with intellectual, oh, sorry. The gap between those with access to relevant digital literacy, curricula, effective digital instructors, and necessary educational resources, and those without. This encompasses the formal education system, informal learning opportunities, and culturally relevant digital content. So we are here actually to help and scale up our education system. As we transition from 844 to CBC, the government also tried as much as possible to make sure that as our kids grow, as the young ones grow, they are also digitally included in the early ages of their development. Five, this one helps curb the literacy level in the country. You find that somebody in a maybe rural school, uh, yes, the person has gone to a primary school, gone to a high school, but has never been exposed to the digital space. So by the time this person joins university uh, and gets to meet with other people, you find that his esteem will be low. Why? Because you will find that he's the only person in the whole university maybe who has never gained access to the devices, who doesn't know what internet is, who doesn't know what a browser is. Do you think that person will be comfortable among the students? No, they won't. So we are here to actually make sure that we bridge and we close this gap in our education system. So we go to schools, those schools that are not privileged to access maybe computer labs, those schools that are not privileged to access maybe internet. We go there, educate the students, educate them about the devices, show them how the devices work, and tell them a bit, give them a bit knowledge on how they can use the devices. From there, it's up to them to take the task and actualize what we are told them. We actually, I think some of you, maybe some of us, we learned in the rural schools, primary. Some of us came to know once for the high school, maybe because we did our best so we can go to maybe a county school or so. But there are those who still remain in those locations, those district schools. Some of them only see their teachers having phones, but they can never tell a teacher, can you assist me with the phone so that I can check what is there. Because friendship ya mwanafunzi na mwalimu is a different thing, right? Yeah. So the teacher must be strict so that he can be respected for the students. Hakuna that friendship so close. So in your organization, the 254 and others. I think you need to take these mandates as maybe local university students, as the organization. You go there and give back to the community. How do you give back to this community? You can go to those schools within Migori County as the organization in partnership with the university. Make sure that you're sharing out the knowledge to the less maybe fortunate. You're teaching these people about this digital space. In the process of teaching these people, you find that you have mentored people who will later on come to assist the organization, assist you personally. Uh, you need to take it up and make sure that the community around the university is digitally included. Go school by school, uh, create maybe sessions, educate the students. Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance has several programs, they say, and one of them we have the primary programs, secondary programs, and campus programs. So as we are also doing the community work, we are also making sure that students are included. Because we came to realize that people are in school, but the school is not giving them what they want. So yeah, you only thought what you want to learn. Like education, that's what you need. But how to use your education effectively using your phone, you don't know. You go to a high school, teach, you find a kid who was exposed to technology, challenging you in class. And because you don't want to be ashamed, you start telling the kid that you're misleading others isn't it? So that you can cover up your tracks, so that you don't want this kid to know that you don't know anything. But by the time you go to the staff room or the department, they're busy searching. Why? Because you learned these things and nobody was there to tell you that in your career path, this is how you can use this device to make sure that you give back, something that is good, your productivity is high, not just relying on books and maybe novels, books, maybe authors and researchers. So you make sure you do your own research. How do you use the device, right? So there's a gap in the education system. Yes, the government tried, but it can't do it. Even right now, you go to some schools, they don't have the tablets that they were told, right? Even when those tablets were being offered in the schools, students didn't charge it, right? Teachers themselves had a problem of using the tablets, so they had to stop them. Because these tablets were meant for learning. The government never had that idea that we're giving you tablets and we teach you everything about that tablet. There's no time for that. Right? So our work is there. We educate them, we educate the teachers, so that they can educate the students on how to use these devices. So that when they receive the devices, they're knowledgeable and they're very in a position they can share. And we can bridge that gap. Another dimension we have is the social exclusion. The gap between intellectual communication, geographical, cultural, digital relevance, and those who are left out. This includes language barrier, disability, consideration, geographic isolation, cultural contexts, and how they are adopted and how they are used. We find that in our social life, we are still having issues with language barrier, right? Our devices, mainly some of them uh, don't have the accessibility feature. These are features for the PWDs, people with disabilities. We are creating systems that don't include, are not inclusive to the people with disabilities, right? Uh, so our work as advocating for this. For example, there's an incident that there's a famous artist who sued Apple because they never included a certain single feature in their phone for the people with disabilities. Who knows about that? Who knows about that? Some years back, I don't know if it's 20, but below 2020. Who knows about that? Yeah, people with disabilities. As we are talking about bridging the digital divide, we are also forgetting about people with disabilities, right? Yeah, the majority of us, majority of, as I can say, maybe companies do forget those people with disabilities, and it's very sad, really, when you're seeing somebody trying to use something and the device itself is not favorable for him and he's struggling. And that is the only device that is there, because there's no device specifically made for that person. Right? Yeah, it's so sad. So we are here for advocacy. Those are the things we need to point out. Those are the things we need to advocate for. We need to shout and advocate for inclusivity for persons with disabilities. Language barrier, we have talked about it. There's some people, translations. We find that there's some people who can't understand maybe even Swahili, right? Even English, it's a problem. How do these devices, how will these devices close that gap of language barrier? We are here, all here as young minds, and these are the problems we need to solve in our community. There's no other problem. If we solve these problems, then our community, our country, and our continent will grow. Right? These are the small gaps, the root gaps that we need to solve so that when everybody is digitally included in the digital space, we find that we are at a position to say that now we are digitally included. Right? Yeah. So digital divide exists only when one of the following exists. I think we have talked much about this digital divide, and as he had said in his explanation about digital divide, exists when somebody who can maybe let's make it interactive. Somebody take A, another one take B, like that.
Uh, when I'm in possession of relevant digital skills.
Yeah. So people out here lack digital skills. You may find somebody with a phone, but the skill is not there. Hakuna skill ya kuweka button na kucall na kuangalia message. Habi, let's stand up here.
Limited or no access to appropriate digital devices.
Yeah. So those are the problems we need to solve. Hasi,
When access to reliable and affordable broadband internet connectivity.
yeah. I think we discussed most about those and given some scenarios about it. Hadi,
Accessible quality technical support provision.
exactly. Technical support is also an issue. You may find maybe a school purchased equipment, right? But within a few months, they needed repairs and they never found somebody to repair them. Yeah. So you find they have great computers. Why do most schools have great computers? Just because of maintenance, right? They never maintain it properly. If they maintain properly, those devices will be functioning. The issue maybe they may be slow because as we progress, we're developing new products, right? New, fast and reliable products. If somebody this side,
Okay, non-inclusive policy frameworks.
yeah. So Africa digital inclusion, as I talked about advocacy, we also do policy frameworks. These policy frameworks, for example, I talked about the people with disabilities. We make sure that people with disabilities are included. We make sure that maybe a certain company in their maybe product, they never included people with disability. So this policy and governance frameworks are there to ensure that if a product is released, it should be inclusive. F, the last one. Anyone? That's the next slide. Anyone?
Well, I'll go with it.
Okay.
Marginalization of rural communities, PWDs, refugees, and incarcerated individuals.
So when I talked about making your organization a global organization, not just a local organization, you need to target the marginalized groups, you need to target refugees. So in this, we have refugee camps, right? But these people don't have access to internet, they don't have access to digital skills. So that should be your work. And that is how you actualize the discussions on digital inclusion, bridging the gap for digital divide. So we have the skill disparities and digital exclusions. And I think most of this, it's the divide in Africa as applied manifests in the form of significant skill disparities among its population. A key aspect of this divide is the lack of relevant digital skills. Many individuals across continents face in acquiring the necessary competencies to effectively navigate and utilize digital technologies for essential productive use. So we talked about that. In Africa, we are having a big gap. And as your organization, 254, maybe you find a code that is a global code. Africa, right? Yeah. You need to scale up. When you're done with 254, what next? When you have exhausted everything in 254, what next? Right? So with that, you can have maybe branches 254, 256, 255, right? Yeah. So that is the idea. You scale up and make sure that you have covered every scope and every aspect. So we have talked about the unequal access to reliable internet access. So the relation between digital divide and sustainable development goal, the SDGs. I think all of you know the SDGs, right? How many are they? Eh? How many are they? Eh? 17. Uh-huh. How many are they?
Do we know the SDGs? 17. You can count all of them. Maybe we can go like this one. Maybe we can try. If you don't
Yeah, amesema tuanzie hapa.
Oh,
Okay, we can start with that. What said 17?
Yeah, no poverty, number one.
But maybe you can say the one you know. Then
Not in
let us
order.
know. Yes,
So,
I know.
number one is no poverty.
Okay.
I told you you have your phones.
No, I guess we're now in the wrong room. We're in the wrong, because nowadays when you want funding from any organization, you must be aligned by the SDG because you are proxy to 2030.
Yeah.
So it should be on our fingertips, right?
Yeah.
Ni vitu rahisi, eh? Kuna climate action, eh? Every such haraka, you have to work in a
Wenye mnatumianga kila siku.
There is a jahazi here.
Umeamuka bila hiyo huwezi tembea. Ukikosa siku moja hivi, ukiinama hivi kidogo ni shida.
Of course, zero hunger. It's one of the
Chakula. Another one, you have your phones.
Quality education,
Exactly.
highest in quality, life underwater.
Mama kusema
Yeah.
I told you kwa jahazi.
okay, come up, you can say all of them. Okay, people with smartphones. People with smartphones. Now you have seen. Digitally, you need to be digitally included. Zingine zimebaki ngapi?
with a number.
Zimebaki ngapi? So also you
We are not counting.
should be
I've
digitally
not heard of
included.
sustainable cities and communities.
Come on, you have your phones. Yeah? You have internet access. You're privileged. And you may find that somebody who doesn't have internet access anazijua zote often. Na uko na simu.
Okay.
Ingine gani tumesahau?
There is one which sorts
Health.
decent work and economic growth.
Partnership for the goals. Who is justice and the strongest?
Okay. So we have the sustainable development goals. And all of you actually should be at par and understand what they are. So yeah, most of you here are representing organizations. In those organizations, do you follow the SDGs? Are you at par with the SDGs, or you're just starting an organization because of starting an organization? As my colleague had said, you need to be in line with the SDGs. You need to solve a problem that is in line with the SDGs, and you need to know which goal are you solving, which problem are you solving. As for example, you can see the SDG goal 9 states to build a resilient infrastructure. Hata hii hakuna mtu aliingia hapa juu. Ilikuwa to build resilient infrastructure, promote industrialization and foster innovation. Innovation, research, ideas. As Dr. Karen, she's in charge of intellectual property. Right? Yeah. Your innovations, she's here to make sure that they are secure, they are patented. Do you know what is intellectual property? You guys know that?
I'm going to train. I attended the KP training.
Okay. You know intellectual property? You know what is patenting? Yeah, your innovations, you need to make sure that your innovations are patented. The university can help you patent your innovation. Because Nowadays, if you don't patent your idea, somebody can steal your idea and actualize it and patent it, and you will not claim it anymore because there's no evidence that that innovation is yours. So digital redlining has been a major cause of infrastructural deficits, especially in the marginalized groups, such as in the low-income individuals. Why? Because of international and considerations. So you find that the international community, most of the things that the international community does affects us locally, right? If there's an international war, it affects prices of everything in every country. Yeah. Hata kama that thing you're the one producing it and exporting it, the price is spike. So yeah, why? So as the Chamber of Skill and Development, we need to make sure that we build a resilient infrastructure, promote industrialization, and foster innovation. These innovations, we have we have maybe showcasing innovation weeks, right? Rongo University, when is the innovation week?
Tomorrow.
So you know, some of you here don't even know you have innovation week tomorrow, right? Go ahead. Right. Yeah? Do you have an innovation? Okay. So these innovation weeks are there so that you can showcase your idea. Your idea is good. You can patent your idea. The university can actually help you patent your idea. Relation between digital divide and African Union agenda. We talked about the. Okay. I think. Oh, yeah. Did you do the East African anthem
No.
or the African Union anthem?
Okay, we'll do it
We'll
as
do
we
it at the
end.
end.
Yes.
So how many of you know how to recite the African Union anthem or the East African anthem?
East Africa. East African is.
East Africa. The AU. Yeah. Right?
You know, when I see you in a tie, I hope. I just think of diplomats, so you can't miss that.
We're in Africa, right? Yeah. We're in East Africa or West Africa. How many of you know the East African anthem? Okay, how many of you know the Kenyan anthem? All the stanzas. All the stanzas. Oh, how many of you know the Kenyan anthem?
In English or in Swahili?
So you know stanza 2 in Swahili.
Use digital inclusion.
You know stanza 3 in English? Uh-huh. Where does it start? No. But you know some music for that, right? The chorus and the lyrics. So I think it's a challenge. You can see, you can position yourself where you are. You say you are a proud Kenyan, you're a proud African, but that's the Africana in you is not there. India, the patriotism in you in Africa is not there. So I think it's a challenge for all of you. You say you're a Kenyan, right?
Of course.
Yes. The Kenyan anthem stands for 3 in Swahili. Who can recite it? Now you're thinking which is Tanzania. Yeah, true. Very tricky.
Can you use it?
Exactly. We're here for digital inclusion. Actually, you have your phones. You're talking about digital inclusion, access to devices and internet. Actually, I should be asking a question. Then, within around 20 seconds, somebody should be answering. Answer 2 and 3. Very true. So you can challenge yourself and see what are you pushing, what are you advocating for, right? So if I may ask, if I go, so when you do your meetings, do you recite any of the or you just go into a meeting and pray and start the meeting? And then when you have done the meeting, you pray and everybody goes home. Not knowing that you need to be patriotic enough and respect your country as a citizen and respect your continent as a citizen. You're a citizen of Africa and not only a citizen of Kenya. You're a citizen of East Africa. That's why even the government embraced East Africa. You have, if you have the passports, they have the East African flag. Do you know how the East African flag looks? Yeah? You know, these are simple things, as I can tell you, these are simple things. And when you talk about digital inclusion and digital divide, you can see where you are. Are you digitally divided or are you digitally included personally? Yeah? Are you digitally divided or digitally included?
Divided.
Digitally divided or digitally included?
I'm digitally included.
Yeah. So, from those simple questions I've asked, you can gauge yourself and see areas of improvement, right? Let this convention be a turning point. Let's open your mind so that you can see that where are you positioned? Where is the organization at? You say that you are representing a certain organization, but at what stage is that organization? Right? It's a 254. So you should know some degree of the national level. You should know how to recite the East African anthem, right? Yeah. So we talked about the digital divide and the African Union Agenda 2063. It's aspiration 7. Africa is a strong, united, resilient, and influential global player and partner. It emphasizes on integrated economy, where every government, business, citizens have access to reliable and affordable ICT services. Accessibility and costs are key in fight against digital divide and ultimately sovereignty. Right? So African Union has an agenda. What is your agenda as an individual? The AU has an agenda. Kenya, we have an agenda, Vision 2030 and Vision 2050. What is your agenda as an individual? That is the question you should ask yourself. What is your agenda? What is your agenda in the organization that you are in? Right? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Naona anthems ni ngumu, si ndio? But those anthems they're not just songs or maybe things we recite. They have meaning. Each line has a meaning. And each line was placed there because of something. Right? I think you have your phone. Sure. You can search the East African anthem. I'll give you maybe some 1-2 minutes. Find a line that is inclusive. in that anthem. Find a line that is inclusive in that. You have your phones. I should be saying everybody typing. Or if you don't have, you can share with your neighbor. Share with your neighbor. Share with your neighbor.
I know we are also talking about digital inclusion
Yeah.
and device access. Maybe if you don't have the password, I think we moved from password to power, but if you want the password, you can just raise up your hand. I'll tell you the Wi-Fi password. Okay, this is the password for Wi-Fi.
Those who want to access, just look for Rongo, that is lower bedroom. Can you?
Rongo lower boardroom.
Lower bedroom, actually, that's the name. Lower bedroom Wi-Fi. Are you there? So type the name Rongo in lowercase. Rongo in lowercase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then accept.
So now we are included.
Who is left out? Kosawa. Kosawa.
Rongo lowercase, then 1, 2, 3, 4. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So, who was found alive? Say it, you can read it. Yeah, it's on it. What's out?
Afrika Mashariki tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize malengo yetu, jumuiya yetu sote tuwajibike, tuimarishe umoja wetu, nguzo yetu.
So, in between, there is a name called Malengo. Yeah. What is Malengo? What is Malengo? Target. Right? Goals or targets. Depends on how you understand Malengo. Yeah, so even East Africa has its own goals. And as a country within East Africa, our leaders are not only ruling as presidents of the country, but they are also ruling as leaders of East Africa. So they must ensure that the goals of the East African community have been achieved, right? We must make sure that the goals have been achieved. So the African Union also, as the continent, Africa, like the African Union in America. A simple question. I told you, right? Simple questions. The color of the African Union flag. You can see yourself. So you can see yourself where you are. Are you in Africa? Or Asia?
In Africa.
Are you Africans?
Africaners.
Are we Africans? We are Kenyans, but not Africans. But you say Kenya is the capital city of Africa. Right? So, for those who are in the capital city, what is the color of the national flag of Africa?
Dark green.
Of African Union. So, as we talk about digital inclusion, what content are you taking out there? You don't have contents and you're taking no content. So make sure you're digitally included, right? When we say digitally included, we don't mean just about, uh, we say we're in a digital world, right? Yeah, digital world. But there's some things you cannot classify as digital things, like fabric and whatever. But in order for that fabric to be made to be fabric, or for that cloth to use the machine, that is a digital device, right? Yeah. So like maybe we improved our mechanism, our industrialization, and moved from the manual one to the electric ones, right? They're using digital devices, they're using machines. So when I ask you about the color of the African Union flag, that flag was made by a machine, that material, right? Yeah. So the color of the African Union flag, green. Ukiuliza Kenya ndio mnajua, si ndio? Hata meaning ya kila kitu, si ndio? The flag, meaning ya shield, meaning ya. So even in the East Africa flag, you should know the meaning of every color and every symbol. In the African Union, you should know the meaning of every symbol and the color. Does it have only green or white? Yeah. So I think you can see yourself. You can see yourselves. Yeah. How included are you? What level of inclusivity are you? So you can see and gauge yourself. So you should have an agenda. You should have an agenda. We say that